This is part 2 of the 2 videos that I'm doing on home brewing beer over a Coleman stove. And in this video, I'll get into the bottling and conditioning process. Then I'll jump forward a couple of weeks and open up a couple of them and see how they taste. So my beer has been in my primary fermenter for about 2 weeks. So let's open it up and rack it into the secondary fermenter. As you can see, the flocculation line right here where it was fermenting, and I wish this thing had smell-o-vision because it really does smell good. To transfer my beer into this secondary fermenter, I've got, of course, my transfer cane, a hose, and a little clip that holds the hose in place. I got my beer transferred into my secondary fermenter, and it ended up with just under 5 gallons of beer. Here's the remnants of my brewing process with all the yeast, the hops, and things like that. And I have heard people talking about reusing the yeast, like getting a spoonful or 2 of it and using it for their next batch, but I haven't been able to find any data that would suggest that would work. So I'm just going to discard it. So with my beer transferred into my secondary fermenter, I'm going to seal it back up and let it sit for another couple of weeks. My beer has been in my secondary fermenter for about 2 weeks conditioning, and I'm now ready to start bottling. Before I start bottling, I've got to add my corn sugar mixture, and this is actually what conditions the beer while it's in the bottle and gives it the foam. To my pot, I'm going to add 16 ounces of water and 2/3 a cup of priming sugar. I'm going to let my water get up to a boil before I add my corn sugar. My water has come up to a rolling boil, and I'm going to take it off heat and then add my priming sugar. With my priming sugar added to my boiling water, I'm now going to let it boil for about 7 minutes. I'm now going to add my priming solution, and I'm not going to just pour it straight in there. I'm going to try to pour it like down the side so that it doesn't disturb the sediment that's at the bottom of the bucket. And I'm just going to gently stir it to incorporate it in. Now I'm going to cover it up and let it sit for a few minutes while I put up some of this gear. I'm now ready to start the bottling process. I'm going to take my racking cane and hook it up to a clear plastic tube that runs down into my bottling cane. And my first step in the bottling is I'm going to take a jar and start running the beer into it until it starts running clear, then I can start bottling. So here's my first pull on the beer, and as you can see, it's still a little bit on the cloudy side. And there will be some sediment in the bottles, but that's kind of like a maker's mark of home brewing. So here's my first 12. When it comes to the bottling process, you can go one or two ways. You can take and fill all the bottles and then go back and do the caps. Me, I like to do 12, do the caps, do 12, do the caps. That way there, I don't worry about, knocking any over or spilling any. So this is my capper. The beer cap fits in there. You put this around the bottle, close it up, and it seals the bottle. I always like to give them a good shake just to make sure that they're sealed. So here's my first 12-pack bottled up, and now that these are bottled, they'll sit for a couple of weeks in condition, then they'll be ready to drink. I ended up with 50 bottles, including 2 sample bottles. And by sample bottles, I mean at the end of 2 weeks after these have conditioned, I'll drink one of them and see if it needs to condition longer. My beer has been conditioning in the bottle for about 2 weeks, and this is my test bottle. And as you can see down here on the bottom, there's a lot of flocculation, and that's because this was kind of at the end of the run, so I expect there to be more flocculation in the bottle. By way of comparison, here's a bottle that's kind of in the middle of the run, and as you can see, there's less flocculation in the bottom of it. So now I'm going to crack one open and see what this particular recipe tastes like. And I'm going to leave the yeast and all that kind of stuff in the bottom of the bottle. Now the beer itself looks like it has a good head on it, and as you can see, it's nice and clear. Got plenty of foam to it. And it actually tastes pretty good. As you can see, the beer is still bubbling up, so it means it has good carbonation to it. So there is brewing beer at home, especially during the pandemic when you can't really get out. So here's a salute to the bootleggers during the Prohibition. Because of them, the whole home brewing industry started, or at least helped get it started. The cost of the kits really depends on your taste in beer. For a light beer or a simple beer, naturally it'd be less. The more complex beers with more ingredients to it would naturally cost more. Now, to me, the beer that I brew at home actually tastes better than the stuff I bought and is a lot cheaper. But in any case, if you want to try something like this out, it doesn't take any kind of rocket science to do it. All you gotta do is follow the directions, or you can even go online and get your own recipes. So thank y'all for watching. We'll see y'all next time.